Hello there, and welcome to the Stay Off My Lawn podcast, where we'll have a little fun, lots of laughs, and discussions on the common sense that needs to be applied to a lot of today's world news issues. And now, the disclaimer. Stay Off My Lawn is not intended as legal, medical, or financial advice. Void where prohibited. No purchase necessary to win. Open to legal U.S. residents 18 or over in the contiguous 48 states. Any resemblance to anyone living or deceased is purely coincidental. Actual price may vary. Only use as directed. Not a member of FDIC. And now, here are your hosts, Mike and Richard.
We're live. Welcome to this week's edition of Stay Off My Lawn. It's September 3rd, 2024, and this is episode 81. We're getting, is that how old Joe is? Is he 81?
I thought he was 82, but
he might, yeah. Maybe it's next week. We'll be the same age as Joe. So we'll have to talk like this and get to, I want you, maybe you
need to find a fuzzy arm to rub the fur backwards on, I guess. Anyway.
Oh, he's real fuzzy though. Yeah, I saw that when he pulled up his sleeve to get his 48th booster, he had, I noticed, he had lots of hair all over his shoulders and everything. Gosh, can you imagine? It's got to take him an hour to dry off after the shower, but then again, I don't know.
I understand that. I'm a furry little critter.
Are you? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not very furry at all. So, but hey, last week we said we were in talks with the Oracle Talk Radio Network, and Richard, are we on there?
That's the best we can do for you. Sorry.
We still didn't get that sounder. Yes, we are on there. It's Oracle.
Yes, oracletalkradionetwork.com.
Yes.
If you want a nice long URL, that's what it is.
The owners were great. We had a meeting with them last Thursday, I think it was. And
Thursday was, before I went to Thursday.
And they loved us. They really, really loved us. And we are on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on the Oracle Talk
Drive
Radio.
time on your way home.
That's right.
Turn it on and you can listen to us.
Turn it on and rip the knob off. But we'll, that seems like a lot of fun. We actually said something about maybe, since they are kind of in their infancy, maybe we'd be able to fill more slots of the times that they're just playing music. But there's quite a few shows on there. I was kind of surprised how many shows they already have. And that's pretty cool. Pretty cool being on one of those. We were on a station in Southern California, went defunct. It's certainly,
but not because of us.
I don't think it was my fault.
But not because of us.
Yeah, I don't think it was my fault. I'm sorry. But yeah, so that's kind of fun. So oracletalkradionetwork.com. Is that right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Oracle Talk Radio Network.
I believe that's what you told me. That's what I said. If I said it wrong, it's your fault.
If I'm wrong, you have to. Anyway,
if you're wrong, it won't be the first time we've been wrong.
Exactly, and it won't be the last. That's for sure. So anyway, we had our 35th anniversary yesterday, my wife and I, and so that went pretty well. We had pictures made a couple of weeks ago when we were on the cruise, and so we've kind of got over that little hump. And she's got nice new earrings, and we've got nice new pictures, and she's happy as a clam. So that makes me happy that she's happy. So what went on this weekend for you?
I was just checking. Yes, that is correct. It is the Oracle Talk Radio Network.com.
We're double checking ourselves.
Well, I want to make sure if you're going to listen to our show that we don't chap your hide and you went to the wrong place.
That's true.
That's true. What it is. This weekend, well, it's been busy. I'm in another radio drama, I guess, if you will. It's the Cliff Note version of Pride and Prejudice. So
that's like a 6-inch book, right? I mean, it's like, and you whittled it down to 30 minutes.
It's a radio that somebody did in 1947.
Wow.
That's when this show is from. And we have a wonderful cast, extremely talented. And we had a really good time on Sunday. We only rehearsed twice and then record on next Saturday. So we had Sunday, then we're going to rehearse again on Friday, and then we're going to record on Saturday. And we're done.
Nice.
That's how the longer these things go.
Didn't you say somebody missed that first meeting too?
Yes. It's like, we only got 3 and you missed one already? Yikers.
Yeah.
A bunch of really talented folks who professional stage actors and professional voiceover stuff. One guy does stuff is on Disney whatever, one of their animated things for Star Wars. He plays characters on that. Very, very good group of people, and I expect it to be as fun and as well done as the Philip Marlowe that is just a hair short of 5,000 views
Oh boy. Yeah.
in a month. So
And that's kind of unique for those kind of things, right? I mean,
yeah, they 800 was, well, 700 until we brought a lot of people in and went, hey, they got other stuff. And they were listening to some of them went over 800.
Oh boy.
But that's the closest one to our one that's 5,000. And the director, it's called projectaudion.com. And he just can't, he's never had anything that successful and it's just blown away. And that was their 57th show they'd done.
Oh, wow.
Nothing had ever been anywhere close to that. And he still did them. All of the sound effects and things are done live when the show's going. When we record it, that's what you get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clubs and all.
Well, that's the way, that's what audio dramas used to be, right? I mean, I don't think they did a lot of editing for that stuff. And it's sort of like the one we did do some editing for the one that I was in with you when we did my friend Irma.
Did. Well,
not
taking a few things out, but not much. I mostly tightened it up because of the Zoom was a lot better than it was.
Yeah.
There's some delay and you're waiting, and depending upon what your speed for your internet is, how much delay you have, yada, yada.
My internet provider was different back then. So I think that my part, I had to actually, the narrator at the beginning, that was part of what I had to do. And I had to redo that because it cut out and everything. So that was the only reason we edited anything, because everybody was they hit their mark. And, when stuff comes together, it's kind of fun. So
it's so we did 2 of them in the VOA, and then now this will be another 2 that I've done. I used to love listening to them, and now I've been in 4 of them. So and directed 2 and in this one. So
well, I have to tell you though, I was only part of one of them, and I have not been invited back to any more. So
we haven't done any more.
I don't.
That would be why.
I think my feelings are still hurt. Anyway, I don't have any of those. We need our vice president. Oh my goodness, she's. I love her. I really do love her. I miss Joe because of the way he flubbed and everything, but there's something unique about her.
It's a whole new way of screwing stuff up.
It really is. And it's fresh and it's vibrant and it's happy. It's like 3 glasses of wine into an afternoon happy. It's really kind of nice. But she keeps changing her mind. But it's also, I think that her campaign is counting on people not to remember, or the internet, I guess, not to remember what she had said back in 2019. But here she is giving a detailed reason why she is for banning fracking from 2000. This is from 2019. She was, of course, running against the other Democrats back then. And the internet doesn't forget. So here we go.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. We have to just acknowledge that the residual impact of fracking is enormous in terms of the impact on the health and safety of communities. I think about this issue through the lens of my baby nieces, who are 1.5 and 3 years old. And when I look at those babies and I think about what the world will be like in 20 years if we don't act, I'm really afraid. And as it relates to those Republicans in Congress, where I've now been for 2.5 years, every one of those members need to look at the babies, the grandbabies in their life, and then look in the mirror and ask themselves, why have they failed to act?
She's very, she
was adamant about that.
She's committed. Yes.
Yeah. You wouldn't think somebody who is that committed is going to be changing. And it's funny how in our backyard, if you will, the U.S., that it's horrible that what it causes to communities, and none of that is factual.
Right.
Go ahead and look up the facts, people. But not a word or a mention of, well, electric is so nice, and the tons and tons and the huge holes and the slave labor that it takes to get all the stuff to make an electric car. Well, that's in another country. That's not our problem.
Well, not only that, is it like you were saying, the slave labor, that's the cobalt mines in, was it the Congo? Is it the Congo where that happens?
Yes, I believe that is correct.
Those are all run by China. China has gone over there, and that's who's either bought the land or they've running the excavation of all that stuff. So it's really a multinational thing, and it always comes back to China. China is buying up a lot of land here in the U.S. too. I think it's totally a bad idea.
Do more solar. Oh, that's right. All the solar panels are made in China. Yeah. I think it's hilarious. They have a huge solar. Well, it's bad for the people in Texas, but this huge solar farm. And then what do they get in Texas that we all get to see? They have these big snowball fights with Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Where the hailstorms are the size of a baseball.
Or the tornadoes.
Just destroy, or a tornado, just destroyed this huge, several hundred acres worth of solar stuff to gather, because when the birds fly over, it just fries them instantly.
Oh, yeah.
So, you have that problem where it was only in operation a little over a year, and all the investors have lost everything because there's nothing solved, and then you have to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And it's highly toxic.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you have to get rid of it in a certain way. There's just so many negatives, and people don't want to talk about that because it doesn't feed into their investments or their narrative either way.
Yeah. Well, the same problem with the wind farms. You got those big, huge blades, and then if you have lots of wind, they don't like lots of wind. It tears those big paddles up. Those things go down. They go by our house out on the highway out here all the time. And they have one of those trailers where they have a guy sitting underneath the trailer driving.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
And they have, headset on with stuff, talking with the driver up front so that they know where they're going. That's how big these things are. And they wear out about every 20 years. You got to replace them. And they're not recyclable. They don't
recycle. No, they sure
you have to cut them up and they bury them.
Yep.
And let's not talk about that either. 20 years, that's all you get out of it?
I think that's even on the outside. I think 20 years is actually a conservative estimate, or I don't think most of them last that long because, like you said,
it's like they last to a maximum of 20.
There it is. That's
what they say.
That's
the word in there. That's the operative word in that phrase is maximum.
The operative word. Yes. It's like when you call to get the time and temperature. Can you do that anymore? I don't even know if you can.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. That sucks.
If there is, I don't know what number it would be.
I don't know.
Used to call it as a kid. What's the actual time? Because you got to set the clocks after a power outage or something. What's the real time?
That was one of the numbers you had stored in your brain.
Yeah.
That you had your girlfriend's number, your best friend's number, but it's like I had so many phone numbers stored in my head. I don't know how my brain functioned even at school, because I had
my childhood phone number. And if those of you who have ever dialed a rotary phone, people hated calling us because our number was 90170.
Oh, 900. Okay. You had one of the 5 number. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, we didn't. You could dial the 459, but this was like 60 years ago.
Yeah.
So and the town was so small that you didn't have to dial the 45. You just dial 9.
But because that was so ingrained in your head, you still remember that. You'll remember that until your deathbed. I mean, that's a number. It's like mine was, and I don't know who owns this number, but you can call them and see what they say. It's 813-629-2278. I'll never forget that. But it's like you didn't have to dial the 813 like you do today. You have to dial around here anyway. You have to dial the all 9 numbers. You can't, or all 10 numbers. We
didn't used to have to do that until just a few years ago. We now have 2 area codes in our state. Woo!
Oh boy! All right, moving on.
And it's for the whole state. The both area codes are. You get a number. You can have that area code for down here as well as up north. Doesn't make any difference.
We used to have 3, I think it was. We had in North Georgia it was 706, Atlanta Metro was 404, and then South Georgia was 912, I think it was. And now there's just Metro Atlanta alone. I think there's 5. So, it's the population just keeps growing because we don't have all the oppressive taxes that they have in the northern states that they don't seem to understand. Anyway, we got.
Did you have a clip of?
She's changed her mind on the. Yeah, she's changed her mind on the fracking. Just so you know.
And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania. Sure. Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020 that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
Well, that she was so adamant. What about your poor little nieces? I mean, what kind of world are they going to grow up in?
Sounds like screw you. We changed our mind.
I care nothing about your future no more. Goodness gracious.
Like, wow, you can't hop from one foot to the other fast enough.
I know it. It happens so fast. And that's just one. I mean, there's been a lot of things she's changed her mind on. And so, I mean, you just got to hold these people accountable. But the mainstream media won't. And Richard and I are far from the media that I don't think Kamala's listening to us in the afternoons going, I wonder what they're thinking right now.
But we'll be on for her drive home. Well, Uncle Joe, when he's done at 4, probably drives home at 5.
Oh, that's true.
It might be nap time. I don't know.
Well, he might have his headphones in. And,
I think he's been out of the public eye and not doing any real speaking, a couple little things here and there for almost 3 weeks.
It's like he's abdicated. It really has. I mean, as far as him being...
who's running the country? She's out trying to stump for votes, and he's on the beach resting under an umbrella. Who's running the country? Oh, I know who it is. It's the guy in the sweats in his basement.
He did say he was going to do that. And
yes, he did. And he made it his dream come to fruition.
I think his BHO or something. I think is how he goes. But anyway, when we come back, we're going to hear a little bit from Tulsi Gabbard. She had a lot to say about our VP, and we'll hear what she has to say when we come back. So hang in there.
It's all about common sense and fun. We'll be right back.
Are you or your loved ones suffering from illnesses such as TDS, also known as Trump derangement syndrome? Do you dismiss or deny the current issues facing our country, such as historic inflation, illegal immigration, corporate corruption, World War III escalations, and the chronic disease epidemic? Are you willing to elect someone who was the least popular vice president in modern history, and who offers no policy or vision for America simply because your brain keeps telling you anyone but Trump? If so, you might be struggling from TDS. Introducing Independence. Independence allows you the freedom to finally think independently once again. Instead of believing everything you hear from the mainstream media, independence allows for constructive critical thinking.
I used to hear people on the news say things like,
Donald Trump and the movement he has encouraged are a threat to democracy.
And I instantly believed it. With independence, I now realize the media is run by the Democrat elite, who are a corrupt oligarchy that censors free speech, silences political opponents, supports forever wars, and abandons democracy by anointing its candidates.
Independence may not be for everyone. If you enjoy being lied to about your president's cognitive abilities, support Orwellian totalitarianism, or are excited about communist fiscal policy, independence may not be right for you. Common side effects of independence may include an awakening of rational thought, successfully identifying propaganda, freedom of choice, loss of hatred, anti-narcissistic behavior.
I don't know. This chair is very comfortable.
I'll tell you what. Whoa, Steve, back off a little. I've not heard him be this excited. Yes, we're in a different studio. We're at the Oracle Radio Network because we will be starting there this week on Thursday, 5 o'clock drive time. And Steve is here, and it's like, don't touch those other buttons.
Just because there's lights on
I know
them.
you're excited.
Goodness
If
sake.
you don't know what they do, leave them alone.
Yeah, this is not your home. You're going to be back
That's
home
right.
with the Bud Light in the fridge, and you're going to be just fine.
Yeah, he is, he's all, have you noticed how nice he looks today? He's all spiffed up on the other
Yeah.
side of the glass. He's got a collared shirt on. I didn't know he owned one of those.
I didn't know he had teeth. I've never seen him smile. Unless he got new dentures or something. I don't know.
Yes, just go back, keep doing your thing, keeping us on track and making us sound good. And we love you to death. Just stay on your side of the glass.
I just wish I could afford this nice chair. This is nice. I mean, I got an Amazon $85 chair, but whatever.
I've got some special Keurig coffee.
Oh
It's
boy,
salted caramel. Oh, it is delightful.
It sounds sweet, very sweet. Anyway, getting back to what we were talking about. I heard a lengthy interview with Tulsi Gabbard last week. She had a lot to say. I've got a few clips from her about our VP. Formerly, she was on the debate stage in 2020 with her, and she had some kind of insight on how the debate may go with Trump on the 10th. And this is what she had to say.
This is where President Trump will really have the opportunity on that debate stage to do the same. She will deliver some very well-rehearsed, well-practiced lines, but as he challenges her on her record as vice president, where she was not just sitting in the corner, she was the most tie-breaking vote as a vice president in the U.S. Senate, really pushing the Biden-Harris policies across the finish line, those radical policies that have really done such tremendous damage to our country. She's proud of being the last person in the room in the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal decision. Time after time, she said she is proud of the success of Bidenomics, and that, people who are saying, well, prices are too high, I can't afford it. Well, they just obviously don't know how great Bidenomics is, and we just got to tell them. Never mind the fact that they just can't afford groceries, a basic thing that they need to sustain themselves. So this will be an opportunity to once again show the American people that Kamala Harris is fake. She is a typical Washington swamp politician in the worst sense of the word. And she doesn't care about the American people. She only cares about herself.
I like that she comes at it from being a former Democrat, and she was on the debate stage where she actually told a story where her team walked by the Kamala Harris team, and it was like they were like making hand gestures to them and stuff. It was like, and she's like, "What is this, middle school? What is going on here?" It was very, very odd, she said. So. I mean, I don't know.
Well, they're still making hand gestures at CNN when Cammie was there, and with her, she had to be chaperoned with Tampon Tim was with her, and their interview was 41 minutes, and as it was put, is Kamala's people, whoever her people are, said, "Nah, you ain't airing that. You're not airing that." So they had to go edit this 41-minute interview down. All that they allowed was 18 minutes.
Man, I would love to have been a fly on the wall and heard all of it and recorded all of it. But yeah, you got to wonder. That's a lot. That's more than half they cut out.
Yeah, over half. And I'm just wondering, as the world is going and stuff, and how she's not a very pleasant individual and is not well liked. It wouldn't surprise me if we don't see those at some point in time.
I hope so. And yeah, because she's lost a lot of her staff over time.
She had was close to 95% turnover rate.
Is that how high it was? Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the 90s.
So
and I want to say that's what it was close to 95% turnover.
So I think the laughing, the 3 glasses of wine into the afternoon type attitude that she has for the cameras, you got to wonder if that's not truly her. I mean, obviously it's not.
No, she's very, very, very harsh with people,
yeah.
And she has no understanding. She lives a great life because, you're being hand fed everything, and anything you want, you can have. The mere mortal Americans like you and I, we're not destitute, but boy, howdy, it sure takes a whole lot more to get what you used to get.
Exactly. You can't just write a check for stuff, and I mean, we have to budget. You and I both budget. I mean, like every American, we all budget pretty much, because money is just
growing on trees, and I'm not getting a whole lot more of it as you get your retirement. It's when they say a fixed income. That's what it is.
And that's why we do voiceover, and we make a little bit of money here and there on that. And, but we, you were mentioning earlier, it's like they don't understand that Bidenomics is not working. Or I think Tulsi had said that Bidenomics is not working. It's like, it's like they can keep telling you that lie. And normally that works. That's just the propaganda tack on all that stuff. But it's like, when they keep telling you that the economy's doing great, and Don Lemon said that when he was doing that man on the street thing a couple of weeks ago, but it's
Didn't go over well on the street either.
No, because everybody goes and gets groceries. Regular people go get groceries. They pay their electric bill. They put gas in their car. Everybody does all these things, and they know the prices are so much higher, and the wages have not matched what the cumulative amount for the inflation has already gone up. So everybody has had to tighten up their budgets. So you can tell me all you want that Bidenomics is working and the economy is strong, but that's not what I'm seeing. That's not what you're seeing. And
No. I mean, my insurance on just my car was at the same amount for about the last 5 years, pretty close to it. I mean, it's gone up $1 here and there. No biggie. All of a sudden it jumped.
Yeah.
It's up over 25%. And it's like, why? And it's part of it is because of all the stolen cars that are happening in the blue states. Somebody's got to pay for that when you're with a national company.
Absolutely.
So I don't care what they say. It's not working, period. It never has worked. It never will work. It's almost a socialistic type of a policy, and it's not going over and it ain't doing well.
And I'm with you, but we've talked about this off the air. But with my car insurance, that's a great point. Is that I pay every 6 months just to get the discount because I'm really cheap. You can turn me on a dime. But I used to pay $968, I think it was, and like you said, it might vary. Couple of dollars here and there. Every 6 months I would pay it. I just put a certain amount away every month and I just pay it every 6 months. But this time around, $1,221 I had to pay for a 6 month. So it went up 30%.
Yeah. I'm right close to that now because it made a big jump and then it just made another little jump. So it's pushing 30% insurance, and all these stolen cars and all the stuff that's happening in the blue states where they're not, what is it? Crime is down. Well, if you don't report it, it goes down because there's not as much if you don't report it.
Not only have the FBI not picked up a lot of that reporting now, they've stopped reporting a lot of that stuff to the FBI, but places like California where they've decriminalized everything, that if you stole less than $1,000, then it doesn't even get reported. Nobody seems to care. You got a lot of companies moving away from California specifically because of that. But that's going to make it look like the crime is down because it never makes the pen to the paper and lets you know that it's happening.
The officers, and I've seen a few of those interviews where they actually just said, "No, we're told don't write that up."
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
They're actually physically, verbally told, "Do not write that up. Let him go."
Just nuts.
And
they're not even caring whether it's over $1,000. How do you know when a guy's got 15 jackets in his buggy as he's running out the door? You don't know how much that is. Oh, hang on a second. Let me scan all that and make sure that you got less than $1,000. I mean, come on. I mean, think about it. Just think. Anyway,
Tulsi, her flip-flops got a hole in them. She's got a flat tire.
Yeah, but I wanted to bring up something else that Tulsi talked about here. Now, let me give you a scenario. If I had a friend or acquaintance that decided to change parties or even just decided to vote for Kamala on a whim or whatever, Joe or Hillary back in 2016, whatever, I might roll my eyes and honestly, behind their back, I probably would go, the heck is wrong with them? You know what I mean? But I mean, I might think they've hit their head, that maybe there's some kind of TBI where they're not thinking straight. But I would never consider sending a nasty note, a text or a voicemail or anything to these people. Because you're an American. You decide to vote for who you want to vote for. I don't take it personally. I don't care who you vote for. I'd like to see everybody at the polls, whether you vote for the people I like or not. That's part of the American process. But, and even if it was Richard, I might, since we talk all the time, I might go,
"Oh, sure, single me out. What do you care?
What's wrong with you? What happened to you? Did Nancy hit you with something?" But
highly possible.
And of course, I'm surrounded by most of my friends think politically the same as me. But I don't think that my friends would even reach out to me or be ugly over it, and they may stop talking to me just because we wouldn't have enough in common. But the Elon Musk and RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard specifically, who were all considered Democrats at one point, not that long ago for any of them, have switched sides in this election and endorsed the bad orange man. Tulsi Gabbard was talking in this same interview that we played the clip from, was talking about this scenario in her life after she publicly endorsed Donald Trump. And it's very telling, the difference between Republicans and Democrats, the way we look at our friends who vote differently. So listen to this. About 2 minutes, but it's really good.
The reaction has been largely and quite overwhelmingly positive. Obviously, have gotten some hate mail from strangers and some from people who I've known for many, many years. The interesting thing about the hate mail that I've gotten is that the messages are very vile and quite literally filled with hate. It says a lot about where they're coming from and how they are not actually seeing the truth about what we're facing as a country. It's a personal thing. And yet the people that I'm hearing from, not only those who are saying thank you and, proud to stand with you for freedom, I think the most interesting and important thing is who I have heard from and the people I've heard from who have said, hey, I was a never Trumper until I saw your endorsement of President Trump, until I saw Bobby Kennedy's endorsement of President Trump. And now you're forcing me to look in the mirror and really question about what am I doing to defend freedom right now? You guys are reasonable. You are common sense Americans who love our country and cherish peace and freedom. I need to be on that side. And so this is where I see opportunity. And what I'm excited about is I've spent the last few days with President Trump. We had a wonderful town hall last night in Wisconsin where we were able to take questions from the audience and really see a very personal and intimate side of Trump, speaking directly to voters that we don't often get to see. And I'll just share one quick excerpt if you don't mind. There was a voter who attended last night who spoke to The Guardian, and there was an article today. Her name's Melissa Nelson. She's never voted for a Republican in her life, and she said if it were not for Tulsi Gabbard's endorsement, she probably would not have supported Trump this year. She was a former Bernie Sanders supporter in 2016. And now for the first time in her life, she's going to vote for for a Republican, and that Republican is Donald Trump for president. So there's positives that come out of this. Obviously, she's got people thinking and going, am I looking at this from common sense? But I hear
people are waking up left and right, and there's things that they're going, the touchy-feely stuff that they keep saying is coming directly from news media. They're parroting whatever they're being told from whatever network you happen to watch, because they're all liberal right now. And I don't watch any of the network news, including Fox. It's just, I'll see clips that maybe came from there. There's a couple of things that are a little more conservative than others, but I don't spend a lot of time on that either. I go find out stuff for myself. And that's the way we do our clips is, did it come from a legit source? Was it somebody? It's not just hearsay, but it's something that we know for a fact has been done. And we like to get the people saying it in their own words. Right, exactly. So, and there was some things that I heard this past week about Tim, Tampon Tim, that I would love to share, but I don't know if it's true or not. So I'm not going to even say it because I do think that there's something to be said about integrity and we're not necessarily journalists, but I don't want to perpetuate something that's not true. And we may do that somewhere along the line, but I try not to do that. We both are not big into that kind of crap. But I hear this from some black friends I have that say that their families would be mad at them if they were publicly said that they were for Trump or whatever. And it's funny that the loyalty to the party for some Democrats is kind of remarkable. They abandon common sense in issues like the 72 genders, filthy books in elementary schools, the economic policies that are destroying the middle class, policies that would only steal, we talked about earlier, only steal $1,000 of stuff or less, then there's no prosecution, there's not even getting arrested. I mean, those are common sense things that the Democrats are for. So, you really do have that. Tulsi said that the people that have reached out to her, the ones that haven't been nasty, have said that they've made me look in the mirror and made me go, why am I for this? Just because I've voted for Democrat all my life doesn't mean that I should continue if they've abandoning me and my values. So I thought that was pretty good.
So anyway, when we come back, we are going to look at more of Kamala and Tampon Tim's interview. Of course, she had to have her vice president candidate with her during the interview. And I don't know whether it was an emotional support vice president. I don't know what the thing was there. But anyway, we'll dig more into that when we come back. So hang in there.
Stay tuned for more of the stay off my lawn, peed, but you know the thing. Anyway, they'll be right back.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn. Segment 3. Man, this is going by fast. We do say it's the fastest hour in conservative talk, but of course
it is us anyway.
These are anecdotal observations that your mileage may vary. Getting back to Kamala and Tampon Tim's interview, I kind of keep calling them that. It just rolls off the tongue. But Kamala was asked about her flip-flops. Maybe it's because her feet are ugly. Ain't nobody trying to see that anyway. But I want you to pay attention to how Dana Bash, I think it's Dana Bash asks her question. And we'll have a follow-up here.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed.
Before we move on from this, I want you to go back. If you're listening on a podcast platform, go back a minute and a half and listen to how Dana asks the question. She gives her multiple choice. Is it because you feel differently now? Is it because your shoes are too tight? Is it because the wine, you had to change the brand of wine you drank? I mean, it's like, what a hard-hitting interview. My goodness gracious. I mean...
let's serve that little fluff ball up and hit it with a badminton racket. Yay.
No.
Oof, it went over. Yay.
Wiffle balls would kill if it's just such a different...
She was not playing gotcha with anything like she did with Vice President nominee or running mate with J.D. Vance.
He's going to be vice president.
And he hacked her off when he was not playing the gotcha game. And she did not like it. She kept trying to go back to stuff, and it's like, nope. The thing, I'm interviewing you. You're not interviewing me. Well, on the other hand,
the thing with him is he's just so smart. And I think that, when she's interviewing the Democrats, she doesn't have to worry about all the intellectual stuff coming back at her. She just kind of she's the smartest person in the room when she's interviewing a Democrat. So, but yeah, when she was against J.D. Vance, it was a very different. When she interviewed Trump, is a different atmosphere, a different
It was a whole, let's see if we can get them to say this. This is what we want them to say. Nope, neither one of them took the bait. Ain't happening.
Yeah.
That's not what we're doing here. And boy, she was losing and just was so, what? That's about all she could do when she was talking to JD. It was cracking me up because she didn't have a comeback.
Nope.
He knew what he was talking about. Go ahead, try again. That's not what the deal is.
See, I think that's where the difference is. Again, like we were talking about before, how in the world can you zoom out? 30,000 foot view. I love that phrase. I say that a lot. I'm sorry. But the 30,000 foot view of things, how in the world can you look at the Democratic platforms and their planks and say, those are fantastic. That's what we need to be as a country. How in the world can you think that those books belong in elementary schools or whatever? How can you?
Well, that's not the way that they say stuff, because the news media has pounded into their head that they want to ban books. That's all they know. They don't understand. It's not banning books. It's putting books in the appropriate school age for that group, and some of that stuff is not needed to be there.
Absolutely
it's just
not.
Flat not.
And personally, I think it ought to be all the way through school. If you want to give your kids something like that at home, you go to the library or you go to whatever filthy bookstore you go to and buy your stuff to where they learn stuff that normal people would not care about learning. You do that on your own if you're a parent. But I think in school, it just shouldn't be all the way through high school. And maybe I'm painting with too broad a brush, but I just don't think schools ought to have that kind of thing. Any kind of sexual stuff.
They were asking, who do you vote for, Trump or Biden? Man on the street. I've seen about 3 different ones of people doing them, and they're all exactly the same thing. Oh, you want to vote for Kamala? Well, that's great. What are some of her policies that you like?
What's your favorite policy?
Well, I'm not really that versed in politics. It's but yet you're going to go with a little check mark for someone who's a socialist, flat out, pure D and simple, whose father was a commie teacher.
Yep, sure was.
I'm sorry, but no.
Supposedly, if you read his book, he wrote a book about a lot of this stuff. You read his book, and she's almost word for word on the same page as he is.
I've seen a few excerpts, and you are 100% correct.
But some of those man on the street interviews, a lot of them will come back and go, well, I think it's going to be great to have a woman president. I'm like going, I don't care if it's a woman president or not. I just want the right woman. I want somebody who thinks.
Both of us have said we think Tulsi Gabbard would do a fantastic job. She's a woman. I don't care. She's sharp. She understands the common man down the line. She served her time in the military for several years, retired from it, if I remember right.
She's still in, I think.
Congress.
She's still in.
What's that?
She's still in the reserves.
She's still in the reserves.
She's a lieutenant colonel.
So, so this is someone who knows where she came from. And the same thing with J.D. Vance. He came from nothing and served his time, got his degree, and has moved up the ladder on stuff. This is what America is about. You may not have much, but if you work at it and figure out what to do and get out there and do it.
Exercise your brain. Yep, absolutely.
You can do and move up wherever you want. Somebody that, I can't afford to go to college. Well, join the military for, 4 years or 6? I don't remember what it is now.
It depends on the branch, but normally it's a 4-year stint. And then
4-year stint. And they will pay for your college. You got, that's 4 years. It's a tiny, trust me, from an old guy like me, man, 4 years is nothing.
A small part of your life. Absolutely.
That's right.
But that's a Democratic tactic though. I mean, if you're not for Kamala, you're either a racist, a misogynist, you're whatever. So they throw these words out at you. So you sit on your hands and don't say anything. You can call me whatever you want. I just don't think she would be the right person for the job because
and it has
she's
nothing
to
do with her being a female.
I don't care. I don't care what color she is.
Nothing. It's she's a socialist, and I don't think that belongs in our politics.
Well,
This new world order crap's got to come to an end.
It's funny though. You think about, they were criticizing her for not doing an interview, but now that this hard-hitting interview is done, I did find a montage of the left-leaning mainstream media that thinks that any more interviews might be a bad idea because it's a vibes election.
Candidates don't need us as journalists to get their message out. They don't anymore in this ecosystem.
In the media, we're preoccupied with how much access, how many conversations is she going to have? I don't know how much that matters.
There is risk in talking to us. There's no doubt about that.
Then you hear the criticism, she has to do more interviews. She has to talk about policy. Insiders you're speaking to, they're sort of like, no, absolutely not.
As a campaign hack, no. I love you all, but I don't want her talking to you all right now.
Remember what Elizabeth Warren did when she ran back in 2020? She had a white paper for every policy position under the sun. And what happened? She collapsed in the primary. So there's a belief that perhaps you put more ideas on paper, that's a bad idea.
The more details you share, the more your policies are going to get picked apart.
Harris has changed this from being a policy election and more of like a movement, a cultural movement.
It's a vibes election. Right, that's right.
Policy, vibes. Vibes election?
It's a vibes election. This vibes election that we're all feeling right now.
It already felt like a vibes election before.
Most elections are vibes elections.
I think every election, frankly, is a vibes election. And I think there are really only two vibes that matter in American politics. One is hope and joy, and the other is fear and anger.
It's all about the vibes, man. Let's just vote for the girl and see what happens, man.
That's in my way, man. It's really cool what they do, man.
But it's funny. They criticized Elizabeth Warren because she had a white paper on all of her policies. But policies matter. How in the world do you not think that, let's just vote for it because it feels good to vote for? How in the world does anybody think like that?
They're making excuses for, and if you didn't notice, the words were almost all the same. And the joy thing, that comes from communist China, people. I don't care what you want to say, but that was some of their mantra that was done back when Mao Zedong took over. So, say what you want, learn your history. You can say, that's just racist.
And how many millions of his own people did Mao kill? It was in the millions, but if you're curious about our opinion on whether or not free speech is a guarantee, of course, let's go to the First Amendment. Let's just start there. It does say first in the word, but especially when it comes to social media, she's got some interesting opinions. Here is Comrade Kamala.
He has lost his privileges, and it should be taken down. And the bottom line is that you can't say that you have one rule for Facebook and you have a different rule for Twitter. The same rule has to apply, which is that there has to be a responsibility that is placed on these social media sites to understand their power. They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight or regulation. And that has to stop.
See, and podcasts are going to be in that eventually.
But isn't that what free speech is?
Yeah.
Your opinion may not be mine. That's okay.
That's right.
I just don't have, you don't get to tell me I have to believe the way you believe.
Exactly.
That's all.
Yeah.
You start doing that, now we got a problem.
But, I wonder if it's this generation. My opinion may offend your wussy butt. I mean, you're just going to have to get over it. Anyway, what were we going to say?
Calling people names? We don't.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Lord, man, we're not getting very far today.
No, we're not getting very far. We may have to trim some of this. But it is interesting that they want to. They're doubling down on this whole watching over social media and making sure that only factual things get shared. But I keep thinking podcasts are going to be next. What we have to say, our opinions may get axed eventually too. But anyway, during this interview, Tampon Tim was along for the ride and was asked about the criticism of his skewed version of his military service. And here's what he had to say.
Stolen valor?
Yes, that too.
Governor Walz, the country is just starting to get to know you. I want to ask you a question about how you've described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country
equally proud of my service in a public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So I think people know me. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And again, my record has been out there for over 40 years to speak for itself.
And the idea that you said that you were in war, did you misspeak as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar is not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not going to do that. And the one thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's service in any way. I never have, and I never will.
Yeah, I'll go down that road all day. I'll demean your record because you lied about it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's the reason. It's called stolen valor. Yeah. Good for you. Happy that you had 24 years of service. Yeah. And then, oh, wait, you're going to send me into a war zone and I've got to be the leader? Time out. I'm out. I quit.
Yep.
I retired, which is what he did and he knew that's where they were sending him.
Of course.
And he waited until just before they sent him to go, I'm going to retire now. Yeah. Wait a minute. You were the leader of this group, but yeah.
If we have time, we're going to hear.
I misspoke my I. It was, I don't always have the right English.
And that's the thing. It's like, I don't remember as a kid bad grammar coming from teachers. I mean, maybe it's a Florida thing and Minnesota doesn't think that, grammar is all that important. I don't know, but none of my teachers had bad grammar. So I don't understand what in the world happened there. Yeah. But some of the National Guard members that served with Tim Walz, his unit, were interviewed by Megyn Kelly, and they shared their opinion on old Tim. Here he is.
Why did you come forward? It is morally indefensible. He didn't care. It was all about him. He's a military impersonator.
I don't understand how he could do it morally, or he's got absolutely no integrity.
The rumor went across the state that he had quit, and it was like, who the hell does that? I mean, it was just unbelievable that a CSM abandoned his troops, 500 soldiers basically. But beyond that, there's 1,000 parents out there that expect that person to lead those people into combat. He's a habitual liar. He lies about everything. He lies about stuff that doesn't make sense. You're taking a piece of their thunder and you're trying to capture it and put it in a bottle for yourself and use that for your own benefit. He basically said, I've got better things to do. Go pick somebody else to go on a mission. Well, if you sold out your guard unit and abandoned them, I mean, what are you going to do at the national level? Fear is a reaction. Bravery is a decision. And Walz has made the wrong decision. He's not brave. I call him a coward because he is.
I don't know about National Guard units or anything, but I know that active duty, everybody knew each other very well. And it was a cohesive thing. And they seem to know him. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to hear more from Tim on certain things that he's talked about that may not be 100% accurate and kind of goes along with what they have said about him. Truth is not something that he necessarily embraces too much. So hang in there. We will be right back.
If you're in our demographic, it might be a good time to go and pee. We'll be right back in just a minute.
Tampon adds to your fun. Tampon's fun for everyone. Tampon freshness, smoothness too. You will love it, millions do. Makes your mouth feel fresh and clean. After meals and in between. Tampon adds to your fun. Double mint chewing gum.
You will love the double fresh taste and double smooth chewing goodness of Double Mint gum. That's why we say that chewing Double Mint doubles the pleasure of everything you do. So remember,
Double Mint adds to your fun.
It's fun.
Double pleasure all in one. So delicious, great to chew. Treat yourself and your friends too. Tastes so good and lasts so long. Get some soon, you can't go wrong. Double Mint adds to your fun. Double Mint chewing gum.
All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 4. We are on the home stretch.
Almost breakfast time for me.
We're talking more about Tampon Tim and some of the things he's had to say. Of course, he was, well, let me see here. He's trying to be inclusive in this clip. This is what I lost my clips here. But he steps in it anyway, trying to be inclusive. Here he is talking to the American Legion, no less.
When I talk to my constituents in southern Minnesota, I don't care if they're Republican, Independent, Democrat, it doesn't matter to them. When I tell them, when I was in Afghanistan, you know what our troops were worried about? They were worried about their families' health care and they were worried about their pensions. I said, do you think that's really what you want them to be worrying about? When their friends and colleagues are being shot on a daily basis, and yet at the end of the day, they have to worry about that.
Of course, he was never in Afghanistan, but, let's not the facts get in the way here. But another clip of him, here he is just the other day when the news broke about the 6 hostages found dead in Gaza. Of course, one of them was American. It's a terrible tragedy. But you got to wonder if Reagan was president, if Trump was president, this would not just stand and get pushed under the rug. I don't believe it. But anyway, here's a reporter asking him about what he thought about this, and here's his response.
What's your reaction to the 6 hostages being found dead in Gaza?
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Totally ignored it. He heard it. Everybody heard what she asked him. Totally ignored it. So anyway,
Kamala's kind of done the same thing. Yesterday, they were showing a picture of her. She got out of her limo to go in the car. She was wearing earbuds. She just waved at the news media and went on up the steps. She wasn't going to talk to him. She had no desire to hear anybody say, come on. She had the earbuds in, was not listening.
Just like with Joe, they probably told her not to talk. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Of course, he's always trying to be a tough guy, ex-Army combat veteran and all that. But he can't field a question that is asked of him. I mean,
nope.
It drives me crazy. Anyway, let's switch gears here a little bit. Let's talk about the mean old orange man for a minute. His poll numbers with black males has been steadily going up. Jimmy Fallon asked Congressman Byron Donalds about this. And let me see if I can find that clip. And
Fallon?
No, Fallon, Jimmy Fallon.
Oh. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he's actually a stand-up comedian, but he's been talking more about politics lately. And
okay.
Yeah, he's really good. So here's Byron Donalds on his take.
All right, give me this, because so much has been made about Donald Trump's surge with black voters. What do you attribute this to besides your swag, obviously?
He's real.
Yeah.
He's a real guy. For 9 years, they've been going after him. They've done everything to him. They said he was a Ruski. They said he was a plant. They said he was a con artist. Now they said that he's indicted. Now they're saying he's a convict. And through it all, he doesn't speed up. He doesn't slow down. It's still MAGA all day long. It's still, I'm standing for the forgotten men and women. It's still all those other networks, not here, Jimmy. They're nothing but fake news. And what people have seen is that they mistreat him day in, day out. But he's still fighting for the American people. Black men look at that and they're like, man, if he can go through that, maybe he's saying the truth.
Yeah.
And then the last piece is when he was president, is how they say it, over the bridge in Brooklyn. When he was president, my pockets were right.
That matters.
My money was together.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people are saying that, and it doesn't matter your demographic.
Going, I don't care about your Bidenomics. My pocketbook says I don't have anything, and I used to.
Yeah, exactly. And more about the orange man. He caught some heat about showing up. Of course, he was invited by some of the Gold Star families at Arlington National Cemetery to pay tribute to the brave people who lost their lives on the botched pullout of Afghanistan, which everything was in place. They got their permissions. They got everything they needed to get before anybody showed up. But some of those Gold Star families, after all this, the media fallout
the media was
from
trying
it.
to basically telling lies and making up stories about it. And no, that's not what took place. And in this day and age, you don't have to go to a local TV station.
Nope.
You can find the people talking. These are the folks themselves.
Absolutely. And one of those Gold Star families, this dad is he's a dad of one of the Marines that was lost in Afghanistan that day. His name is Mark Schmitz, and he went to social media and said this.
This is Mark Schmitz, Gold Star father of Marine Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz. Here we are on a beautiful holiday weekend day. I got to stop what I'm doing, spending time with what's left of my family, to address a heinous, vile, and disgusting post put out by Kamala Harris, trying to incite those that don't follow the truth that President Trump was in Arlington as a political stunt. Shows you how much you know about the 13 families. We invited him to be there. Groundwork was put into place by Congressman Ice's office to make sure we followed protocol. Why did we want Trump there? It wasn't to help his political campaign. We wanted a leader. That explains why you and Joe didn't get a call. Imagine for a second that your kid is killed, and there's a president of the United States willing to take you under his wing and listen to you. That's what we found in President Trump. Certainly not you, and certainly not Joe Biden.
So that was a lot to digest from him. We do have some more Gold Star families. There were three others that I found, parents of military members that of that Afghanistan withdrawal that spoke out on social media, and they were sometimes even a little bit more critical of Biden and Harris.
Vice President Harris, my name is Jim McCollum. I am the Gold Star father of United States Marine Corps Lance Corporal Riley McCollum, killed in Afghanistan, August 26, 2021. Your recent remarks related to Trump's visit to Arlington are filled with nothing but lies and deceit. How do you sleep at night knowing it was you, this administration, you and Biden, you being the last one in the room, are responsible for the death of our 13 kids? You have failed for 3 years and 8 months to acknowledge our kids, to acknowledge me. You don't know me. You've never spoken to me. You've never reached out to me. You have failed in your duties as vice president. You have been nothing but disrespectful to me and the families of the 13. Yet you're claiming that you will always be respectful and show respect for our fallen. You've been absent for 3 years and 8 months. You've proven that you're not capable to do the job that you have, let alone the job that you seek. You know nothing about honor, courage, commitment, respect, but President Trump does. President Trump has been there for us. He's been a rock for us. He showed compassion for us, and he showed he truly cares for the families that truly do know what the ultimate sacrifice really is.
My name is Darren Hoover, and I'm the Gold Star father of United States Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover. Kamala, I want you to understand, and I know it will be difficult for you because you lack empathy and basic understanding. The events that happened on August 26, 2024, with President Trump at Arlington National Cemetery were solemn and in keeping with the reverence and respect that is given to all members of our military that are buried there. We invited President Trump. We are the ones that asked for the video and the pictures to be taken at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. This was a very solemn wreath laying in our son's name, along with the Sergeant Nicole G family, as well as 2 of our catastrophically injured military members that were there on that horrific day in the honor of our Abbey Gate 13. We then moved to the gravesite where our children are buried. Again, we asked the Trump team to take the videos, take the pictures of our time there. President Trump then laid a wreath at the graveside of Army Staff Sergeant Ryan Christian Knaus. There he talked to both his mother, and father. President Trump then moved to our son's grave, where we were surrounded by our family and friends, where we talked about Taylor and his sacrifice to this country.
Our families invited President Trump to our children's grave sites. We participated in wreath-laying ceremonies with him, and then afterwards, he accompanied us to our children's place of rest, and he spoke with family members. He didn't speak much. He listened. And, you know, everybody in our family who wanted to share a story was able to do so. He laid flowers by my daughter-in-law's grave. It was very honorable and respectful, and we were happy to have him there honoring our children. We've had, again, zero contact from Kamala Harris. We don't exist. Our children were disposable. Our troops are unimportant, and we don't exist. They alternately go from ignoring us to calling us liars. They say that we've lied about Biden checking his watch. And, these are things that these people weren't at. I was there. After the third time he checked his watch, I saw red. So I know he checked it more than 3 times. Just like this event at Arlington, there weren't a press pool of photographers at the grave sites because we did get the proper clearances, and we do respect Arlington. It's where our children rest. But somehow it has been twisted into something that was disrespectful, and that's just not the case.
Again, the media twisting things to fit their narrative. So
it's a little tough to listen to, but we wanted you to hear the actual stories from the people themselves and not the BS that's coming from the propaganda machine that and Kamala lying about it as well.
Absolutely.
That just gets old.
It does. Yeah,
I mean, before I get on a rant,
it makes you mad and it makes you sad at the same time. It's really kind of an odd thing. But let's do a palate cleanser. We do have a Paul Harvey rest of the story, and this one is about a commitment to the homeless, and maybe not exactly the way you think. So here he is.
Now, the rest of the story. They are called the Endless Mountains of Bradford County, Pennsylvania, and from their mists emerges a brigadoon, a benevolent place strangely invisible to most of the world, and yet which so many owe their safety, even their lives. That place is Sanctuary Hill. It's a home to society's forgotten for the past 5 years. To the 31-acre compound, from quarters often curiously distant, come those whom the system has declared non-persons, the homeless, the jobless, the hungry wanderers of urban streets, the sleepers in alleyways, the rummagers through garbage cans, the haunters of junkyards and rail yards, and the aimless travelers of country roads. And yet if those who want for little tend to turn from those whose needs are great, there are a handful of saints on this planet, not the least of whom is 67-year-old Leslie Sinclair. Sanctuary Hill was Leslie's idea. Since 1982, that haven has been the last hope for thousands of the nation's destitute. The complex houses 800 at a time. There are no rows of beds in barn-like buildings. Individual living quarters are provided, as are food and medical care. There is no charge to the residents of Sanctuary Hill. The refuge is funded primarily through the inherited estate of a drug manufacturer, additionally through dollar-at-a-time donations. Very many of the disenfranchised who come to Sanctuary Hill will never leave. To this forever home, they bring varied histories, of which founder Leslie Sinclair keeps records. Some have lost their families through death or desertion. Some have lost physical or emotional health through unbearable trauma. Some have been so awfully victimized in life that when they arrive at Sanctuary Hill, they simply lie down and turn their faces to the wall and will themselves to die. The guardian angel of all of them is Leslie Sinclair. Amid the Sanctuary Hill housing is an impressive hospital building which contains 2 intensive care units. Machines in the laundry room run from 6 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, non-stop, to keep towels and blankets spotless. In addition to the routine personal sacrifices which Leslie has made, there is one monumental one: her illness. Chronic, constantly debilitating, sometimes agonizing, coughing and sneezing, choking, interspersed with headaches which never go away. Little suffering, she says, compared to that of those for whom she cares, and yet the kingdom of kindness she has created remains reality at great personal expense. Sanctuary Hill, last chance at a life for nearly 1,000 at a time, the homeless, to whom Leslie Sinclair is hopelessly, ceaselessly, profoundly, physically allergic. That's right. It is her severe allergic reaction to them that's the source of her own incessant discomfort. For you see, the forgotten ones remembered on Sanctuary Hill, those to whom she is profoundly allergic, those who cause her so much hurt, she has rescued and brought there from everywhere. Dogs and cats. And now you know the rest of the story.
Can you imagine? Did a little research on this. Miss Sinclair passed in 1998, but the mission still seems to be continuing according to the website. So it's something that's still going on today. So it's pretty cool.
You always hear from people that, oh, you can't make a difference in the world.
Yeah.
She made a difference to a lot of critters and that were adopted by others, and it made a difference for them.
Absolutely.
So she's made a huge difference.
And
bravo to her. I love that story.
I did
thought
too.
It was awesome.
I did too. And Richard sent that to me, and it's fantastic. And I think it's easier to be kind to animals because they can't talk to you. You know what I mean? It's like, with humans, a lot of times it's like they don't seem to care that you're trying to take care of them. I've got a friend, actually a cousin who's a pastor of a church outside of Houston. And when everybody was leaving because of Katrina, they set up on the side of the road, were giving out sandwiches and stuff. And they were like, some of the people that were given the sandwiches would go, oh, that's not something I would ever eat, and just threw it on the ground. And it's like, it's just people. And I wish I was more of a people person, but when I hear stories like that, and of course, it doesn't bother him. He continues to do it. He's got such a good heart. But man, it's just so, it's hard. And to me, animals, they can stir emotions in me as much as it does when it comes to kids. It's like, your heart goes out to them. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's just wonderful things that they've done.
Yeah.
Well, we've gone way over.
Yes,
today,
we have.
folks.
Again,
sometimes it happens.
It does happen. We hope you were somewhat informed and had fun like we did. Don't forget, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Smart Speaker, or wherever you get your podcasts. And
we can also be found now on the Oracle Talk Radio Network.com on a 5 o'clock drive currently at on their network Eastern time
on Thursdays.
So on a Thursday. There's what I'm missing something. What did I miss? I don't have it written down yet. So do it off the top, bottom, or side of wherever it might be hiding in there. Or you can just go to our website at stayoffmylawn.us for all our past and present episodes.
And we will see you next week, folks.
Thanks again for listening, people. Go ahead and let others know about us. We're having a good time. We hope you do too. Toodles. Well, we had fun and hope you did too. The opinions heard here today are not those of anyone other than Mike and Richard. If it made you laugh or go, or even, then we've done our job. Sort of. Mostly anyway. And if we made you think about things in a common sense manner, we welcome you to the club. And if it didn't, then just stay off my lawn. See you next time.